my name is Justin Sachs. I'm the executive producer of Achieve Your Ultimate Success, our documentary founded to give you two things. First, to give you absolute hope that you can achieve absolutely anything you desire in your life. And second, the specific tools and strategies that you can take and implement into your life now that will have you produce wild success in your life. These are the things that are going to have you taking your dreams and turning them into reality faster than you've ever dreamed possible, starting right now. We've brought together some of the most foremost experts in creating results in your life and in achieving your wildest dreams, whether they're entrepreneurs, whether they're corporate executives, whether they're philanthropists, whether they're extraordinary individuals up to the most extraordinary things. And they're going to give you exactly how they produce success. They're going to tell you how to overcome the challenges that get in your way, and they're going to tell you exactly how they've implemented the rules, principles, strategies, and consistent elements in order to produce success. There's one thing that I know, and that is that ignorance of principle is not protection from the principle. What that means is that even though you don't know what a principle is, doesn't mean that that principle doesn't exist. So what I'd invite you to do now is open your eyes to the principles that we give you in this film.
I grew up with low self-esteem. I grew up in school, elementary school on Ritalin for a couple of years. My parents put me on that to control me, to get me to conform to a public school system. All my life I grew up with low self-esteem. When I was 19 years of age, I premeditated for 6 months, driving my car towards a telephone pole, and I wanted to end my life by suicide. So I wanted to do it right, and I knew that there was a chance that if I didn't do it right, I'd end up in a wheelchair or disabled. So I wanted to end my life very quickly, and so I practiced for 6 months, going on police ride-alongs to understand police reports. I rehearsed several times doing the suicide attempt, and on the day that I went to commit suicide, just before I hit the telephone pole at 85 miles per hour when I stopped my vehicle, that was a life-changing moment for me. And I've been through that adversity of going from a valley to a peak. I've made money in my life. I've also lost lots of money and made lots of money. In my early 20s, I co-signed 2 loans for 2 guys for a business one time. Didn't do my due diligence, didn't check it out. I just went off, meeting them at a birthday party, and I found out a few months later I ended up having my car repossessed, my bank accounts frozen, had lawsuits against me, and collection agencies calling me and creditors calling me. Ended up leaving from there, being evicted from my apartment, going on the streets and living on welfare, and was actually homeless for a few months, living in an apple orchard. And I know when people say it's what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. I've lived hour to hour. And I've fasted for 10 days with no food in my stomach. Grew up in a middle-income family where they said just go out and get a real job. And so I struggled. I've had lots of adversities and challenges, but those adversities and challenges and peaks and valleys have created who I am today, and I would never trade it for what I went through. At times, I just said to God, take me. I just want to die. I have no purpose, no desire to live. And so I know what it's like to get very close to eating out of a garbage dumpster. I know what it's like to have nothing, not even 10 cents net worth to your name. And yet I know what it's like to live in a $6 million mansion.
I think adversity is something that never goes away. Depending on where you are in life, you'll always face adversities. But to answer your question directly, I remember even as a kid, of course, they just mentioned to you poverty, issue of self-esteem. Between the ages of 3 to 5, I was actually molested on a bi-weekly basis. And yes, you can remember it. The cool thing about our bodies is that oftentimes it creates defense mechanisms to where you forget certain things. But when that floodgate opens up, and a lot of times it cripples you to where you feel powerless, and sometimes you feel as if you're a victim. But when you connect with the things I'm quite sure we're going to discuss today, and the things that wise people have laid out before you, and the prayers of other people, and the support systems that are in place, you can in fact rise above. So in addition to poverty and self-esteem, just the challenges of going after your dream, obstacles always show up, and you have to find ways to overcome those things.
It's interesting, when I was 12 or 13 years old, I had a horrible stuttering problem. I could not say, that was me. That was me at 13 and 14 years old, and I decided to overcome that problem with a goal in mind of being a public speaker and a radio personality in my senior years. I was able to do that without any professional assistance because I began to understand what the cause was. And actually, it was a lack of confidence and a lack of inferiority complex that really overtook my personality when I was younger. I learned how to overcome it, and some of the things that I did to overcome it I now practice and preach in my motivational speaking and my mentoring of people around Omaha and around the country.
Adversity is a word I became very comfortable with just 4 years ago. And in fact, in a matter of just a few weeks, our lives really took a real whirlwind spiral into pure chaos. It all started just prior to Christmas about 4 years ago when we had a house fire. And within the next few weeks, we had a lot of adversity in our lives, which included the death of our niece, the loss of income through work. My husband's teachers union went on strike, so we lost all of that income. And a number of other things happened during that period of time, but what really kind of hit it for us was on February 7th when I was told that my son had less than a day to live. You know, any parents out there can maybe come close to understanding just what kind of impact that can have on someone's life. Now, that day, I thought I'd died inside. It was difficult to breathe, and I really believed that I was going to be able to move on with my life. And it's amazing to look back. It seems like it was years and years ago. Those adversities I'm really grateful for because they've made me the person that I am today, and they've brought me to a place of absolute gratitude and has driven my desire to serve others so that they can become successful as well.
Anyone can achieve success. You can too. All you have to do is be blind faith, believe in it. Faith equals follow through, believe in what it is that you want to do, and stop. Here, biggest thing I can give you is stop worrying about what everybody else is thinking. It doesn't matter. It's none of your business. Don't worry about that. Most people get stuck around looking bad and all those challenges. Here's the thing. If you want to become a multi-millionaire, you want to become a billionaire, you want to just become a millionaire, if it's money for you that thinks it's going to make you success makes you happy, then God bless you, go do that. I can teach and train you how to do that. The challenge is for most people though, they achieve wealth, they achieve financial freedom, just like I did, and then nothing changed in their life as far as them feeling great about themselves, which is why I got into the training that I do now. I literally know that anyone can be literally reprogrammed at a subconscious level to, without thinking, are automatically pulled to start doing the things, start taking the actions that you know you already should be doing. Most people on the planet already know how to make $1 million. Most people on the planet already possess enough knowledge, and they already know there's a million ways to make $1 million. You see success stories all over the planet. You see the guy that took newspapers from pet animals that used to wet on the floor and go to the bathroom on the floors. That man just took that little tiny idea and brought it into the medical field and has sponge pads. He's now a billionaire. Anyone can become successful and achieve success, and you can as well.
You know, I grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. In fact, last weekend I spent some time at a family reunion with some cousins and relatives I hadn't seen in several years. And they were just so amazed, and many people came up to me and said, you know, Savannah, of all the people in the family, you were the one that we least expected to do great things, and we're just so proud of you. So I really believe that anyone can become a success, and it's really not that challenging. It doesn't take years and years of reading motivational books and attending seminars and doing goal posters and vision boards to become a success. It really comes down to making a decision and understanding that you have a purpose in this world, and to take your passions to the world and make something great happen. Anyone can become an amazing success. It doesn't matter if you're young or old or skinny or fat or rich or poor. You have the opportunity within yourself. You've got all the resources that you need to become a magnificent success. It just takes making that decision that you're going to make it happen and taking action.
I believe that anyone can achieve their ultimate success, that we can learn to do anything that we set our minds to do. I've looked at people who come to me with an idea that's been sitting in their closet or their garage for years, and they just didn't know what the next step was. Well, we like to help them get to that next step. Other people come and they have no ideas at all. They just don't think they can think of things like that. But through systems, we can teach them how to do that. As a result, I have seen people just achieve success from the sheer desire to achieve success. And doing that is just by focusing on their goals. And again, intention plus action. That's what's going to help them receive the results.
Well, you know, in the business world, talk is cheap, and that we're always taught in school and the academic arenas that knowledge is power. That's just a bunch of BS. That's a belief system. What knowledge is, it's only potential power. What gives you that true power is taking consistent, massive action. You know, if you don't take action and be consistent, it means nothing to you. You can go to all the social networking events and all the workshops and all the seminars and meet great contacts, great networks. But remember this, the fortune's in the follow-up. It's picking up the telephone. It's being in consistent communication after the event is where the money's made, not at the event.
I find that people who achieve success are the people who take action on their ideas. I have seen hundreds of people who tell me, oh, I had this great idea, and 6 months later I see it on TV or I see it in the newspaper and someone else is making money off of my idea. And I look at them and the first question I ask them is, you had a great idea, what action did you take?
What is success? I think in today's world, success almost becomes a dirty word because you have the people that want to say, oh, well, money is success or power is success, and you know, you can go down that road. Or you have the people that go, oh, well, true success is when you're living in a mud hut in the Philippines and you know, you're scavenging for your daily food, and you know, you've got both sides of the spectrum. And it's like, well, you know, who's right? You know, is success Mother Teresa? Is success Bill Gates? And so it really comes down to, I think, what true authentic success really comes down to my message, which is living your dream. Not just having a dream, but living your dream.
Success is your own personal definition. My definition of success is a level of fulfillment and joy and happiness in life. And I don't care if you're sweeping the streets, you're a multi-million-dollar businessman, or you're a teacher in a classroom. If you've got some level of fulfillment and joy in your world, then you are a successful human being.
Success is whatever it is means to you. Success is very personal. I ask this same question, what is success? Every time I do my trainings or workshops, and every single person has a different answer. So success is very personal. That's why it's very important for each person to sit down and decide what does success mean to me, so that when I become successful, I actually know I've arrived to this destination. What success means to me the ultimate measure of success is how good I feel about myself on a regular basis.
There's so many ways of seeing, of defining success. What is your success? Where lies your success? Does it lie anywhere? Is it a thing? Is it a state of mind? Is it a perspective? Is it a vision? Is it a goal? Is it a step? Is it the capacity to resuscitate? Or is it you know, how many different ways is there of understanding our own success?
Success is when you feel good about yourself. You look in the mirror, you say to yourself, I'm good, I've accomplished what I want to accomplish, there are many other things in my life that I'm willing to stress for, willing to take risks for to achieve. It's a high level of self-esteem, it's a high level of confidence. It is not necessarily related to monetary gain, it is not necessarily related to material gain. It's how good you feel about yourself each and every day. To me, that's what success is.
In the process of success, there are some key ingredients, some key elements that once you implement them into your life, you will absolutely produce success undeniably no matter what. The first is the level of persistence that you employ, and the second is your level of philanthropy. Throughout this film, you're going to be introduced to some key elements of persistence and philanthropy. These are the keys that amongst all entrepreneurs, all relationship experts, all health and wellness experts, in any field, whether they're athletes, business leaders, no matter what, these are the things that produce success. When I wrote my second and third book, The Power of Persistence and the Power of Philanthropy, the key elements that every individual we studied had in common were their level of persistence and their level of philanthropy. These are the things that produce success for each of them, meaning that each and every person had people tell them no, had people tell them that they weren't going to be able to succeed, had people tell them that no matter what, it was a bad idea and they shouldn't do it. Oftentimes it was the people that were closest to them that told them that there was no way they could possibly achieve their wildest dreams. And we're here to tell you that no matter what it is, you can do it. simply by never giving up, simply by committing, no matter what, you will achieve exactly what you want to achieve in your life. It's always possible, simply by making it a must, simply by saying, no matter what, I will succeed, no matter what, I will achieve, and I'll do it today.
There are 4 things that I consider are the key to success. Number 1 is commitment. Is feel committed to yourself, to your dream, to your project, your work, whatever it is that you're doing. Feel 100% commitment. Number 2 will be consistency. The consistency, do it over and over and over and over again, because that shows results. It's not that you do something and it's gonna happen from, in 24 hours. It's not gonna happen that way in most of the cases. Most of the cases is something that you have to do it over and over again until you get to the point that you really get success. Then the other thing will be creativity. Be creative, create opportunities for yourself, create opportunities for your business. And also think about this. If you want to get from point A to point C, in your way you may find obstacles. So what happens when you find an obstacle? You have to be creative enough to move around and be flexible enough to move around that obstacle to really get to where you want to go. So being creative is a huge thing also to be successful. And contribution. Contribution has to be part of the equation, because contribution is when you take yourself out of the picture, is when you put somebody else in front of you and you say, you know what, this is what I know, this is what what I have to share with you. And when you do that, basically the thing starts flowing to you. It's like magic happens.
In order to be successful, I believe, first of all, we get the idea. I think the idea comes from the invisible. The idea comes from that invisible place, that mind. It comes from the thinking. I think spirit gives you an idea, the idea comes to you. Now, to be successful is, do you move on that idea? And so I believe every idea that we get is right for us, and we have the opportunity to move on that idea and to step into it. And so to say yes first, I think that's the beginning. And then in saying the yes, I do believe that everything that is right comes to us for that yes. And then, of course, there's footwork. You have to find out about it. You have to investigate. You have to, has anyone else ever done that? And if they have, of course, not only one person can do one thing, someone else can do it also, and just trust and have faith and know that whatever this idea is, it will be supported. And I believe it's supported by the universe.
Setting goals is absolutely crucial, and what I found, again, in my new endeavor where I'm actually helping people achieve goals, most people have no idea how to set goals. They set wishes. And what I found out is that the key component to setting and achieving goals is something that most people don't want to talk about. The key component to setting and achieving goals is accountability. And it's the dirty secret that most people don't talk about. And that is, you want the goal. There's the goal, and the goal is something that's wonderful and people love the goal, but the steps to get to the goal are painful. And so and people let themselves off the hook for their goal. At the end of the year, when they don't hit their goal, there seems to be no consequences. By instilling accountability into your goal setting and creating consequences for not hitting your steps, not hitting those steps that will achieve your goal, you'll see monumental results in goal achievement.
Element of goal settings that make me successful. One, most of us know that with our conscious mind, this has been scientifically proven now, we set goals with our conscious minds. We sit down, we say, in 12 months I want to make $1 million, I want to have $1 million in the bank. In 6 months I want to have this brand new boat. In 2 weeks, a month from now I want to have this new car. Whatever it is, we can sit down and consciously set our goals with our conscious mind. The challenge is, it's been scientifically proven now that unless your subconscious mind is on board with those goals, you'll never be able to attain them. You got to actually believe on a subconscious level that they are attainable. So, how do you put structures in place to hold you accountable? Well, this is what I know for sure. Reality, your reality. is created by validation, you validating it. I sitting here talking to you, telling you that I'm a true rags and riches story. I came from nothing. I came from no money, no possibility, not even a positive conversation. And I changed, transformed my entire life to where literally I get up in the morning and I choose what I want to do. I don't have to work. I don't need to go to work. I don't even have a job anymore. I don't want a job. I don't want you to have a job. I want you to live the life and lifestyle that I know you're designed to live. As far as setting a goal, how do you hold yourself on task? Goal setting is imperative. It's not to make yourself wrong. There's no way of winning a game without keeping track of your score, and that's what goal setting is. You're playing a game called money. You're calling a game called health and wealth and happiness. Whether if you want to lose weight, if you want to lose X amount of money or X amount of pounds in 6 months, then you know what you need to do right now, moving forward to attain that goal. Goals are imperative for you to set structures in place to just see where you're at, to govern your game plan, keep score of yourself financially, emotionally, health-wise, all of that. It's just a scorekeeper. Don't be so significant about it. Have fun and play with it, and keep yourself going forward and be disciplined. Fail forward fast, continually sharpening that axe called your brain.
Goal setting is a critically important element with regard to success formulation. When we are setting goals, we are in effect creating thought patterns. So, what we're thinking will bring us great joy or great depression. Or maybe it might end up being something that just puts us in limbo, keeps us in a middle row place. So what we have to do is we have to understand that when we're forecasting, I do something and it's called write a script. I literally write a script for my life. I look at, forget where you've been, forget the past is the past. But it prepared you. There was something great in there that prepared you, like no one else. Like no one else. They couldn't even come close with the frontline firing you've gone through, with the battlegrounds that you've come through. You're still alive. You're here. You're wonderful. You're listening. You want to make something happen. So right there, you're at an advantage of a lot of people aren't. They'd like to dress up and show up, but they can't. Okay, you can. So why don't we do this? Why don't we look at things like when we're making a plan, a future forecast? It's the script of our life. That's what it is. And you're the main player. You're the star of that movie. So what you got to do is you got to really look at it, and I write it out. I literally write a script. I go, Luann is living in, I name a city if I want to, or Luann is traveling the world. Luann is, use your name, use it over and over, and I feel it. Oh man, I feel it. I'm like, oh yeah. Where am I right now? Right now I'm in Hawaii. Yeah, I'm on the beach, and I'm doing it. But tonight, I've got a seminar with 20,000 people. Yeah, oh, tonight I got a seminar with 20,000 people. I'm gonna be talking to them. And they all paid $2 grand. 20,000 people, $2 grand each. Okay, do the math. And guess what? Of those people who paid $2 grand, there's gonna be the majority of them, because they're gonna wanna put this to work. They're gonna go, and within a year, they're gonna be creating for themselves, because they are the seeds of that conference. They are gonna be creating for themselves. They're gonna create whatever their objectives were. 2 million, 10 million, 1 million, 500,000, whatever it is, they're gonna meet every objective, because everything I know to be true, which I know because I am a living example of it being true, I have executed this because it works. Without passion, you don't have a purpose, you don't have a reason why. You need to have a big enough reason why. And I heard the sad ones, somebody offered you, let's say $10 to run through a burning building that was collapsing to the ground. Would you do it? No sane person would. What if they offered you, let's say, $10,000? Some people say, well, I would think about it. But really, the fact of the matter is, if they gave you $10,000 and you ran through the burning building, you'd probably not survive. And if you did, you'd come out with ashes and no more money. But what if, for a moment, you were standing in front of a burning building and suddenly it dawned on you that your child was sleeping in a crib in that room and was totally vulnerable and was not able to escape the fire? Now 16 hunky firemen couldn't keep you from running into that building and saving your child. So it's really important to understand what your motivation is and what your passion is. And you need to have a really strong passion in life in order to have the drive, the determination,
the energy to be able to move forward and become a great success. I became successful very, very rapidly, and we got a lot of media attention because our success happened so quickly, but I was highly, highly motivated. I had a passion bigger than life. My passion at that point was to be able to get my son to a point in his life where he could retain stability and live past his first birthday, because that was a goal that no one thought that he was ever going to reach. So I was extremely passionate about moving forward and being able to get to a point where I had the financial resources to supply his medical needs, and also to have the time available to be able to support him through his struggles.
Passion is important to success because if you don't have passion, you don't have a driving force. For example, I said that I had been interested in doing real estate because to me it sounded like a really fast, easy way to make money, but I had no passion for it. And so I would dabble and I would go to courses and I would go, oh, that sounds like a great idea, and then I wouldn't do anything with it because the way I work is I hate numbers. I despise anything to do with numbers. And what's real estate all about? Numbers. And so it just didn't work for me. And so it wasn't until I discovered that I had this passion for helping women and to seeing them blossom and seeing them grow and getting into their bodies and having all kinds of fun that I really had the motivation to go forward.
When I first started with the radio show in Omaha, Nebraska, people said, you know, Andy, you have a good radio voice, but you're not going to get on radio. Nobody knows you. Nobody knows your concepts. And I said, just sit back and watch. So I contacted a program director in Omaha, Nebraska, and I approached him. And I said to him as follows: in the mornings when people wake up to your show, which is the most popular show in Omaha, all they hear is bad news, very bad news. Bad news about murder, about rape, about disease, about war, about famine. They have no good news. We need to have somebody on the radio with good news. And he said, well, who would that be? And I said, that's me. I'm a motivational speaker, I'm inspirational, I've got some great stories, I've got some great backgrounds, I've got a unique way to do it. Well, I don't think at this point I'm interested in doing anything like that. My radio program is filled. We just don't do that. Well, there's one of two things to do: give up or not. And I never gave up. I said, well, at least listen to a demo tape. Get an audio concept of the way the audience would listen to it. There's no harm in that. I'll send it to you. He said, fine, send it to me. All right, I do. 2 weeks later, I wait for a phone call. No phone call from him, nothing. I leave phone mail messages, email messages, time and time again, just to get the results from what he thought of that tape. Finally, he picks up the phone and he says, you know what, you're wearing me down. I'm gonna listen to it. Call me back in 24 hours. Chances are probably won't get on the air. I call him back in 24 hours. He didn't listen to it. Did not listen to it. Could have done one of two things: given up or go right back at it. I said, fine, you must have been extremely busy in the past 24 hours. What's a better time for you? And he tells me, call me in 48. Long story short, I call him in 48. He listened to it. He liked it. He put it on the air. I think the average person would have given up and said, wow, there's no interest. I should have listened to everybody that told me it wouldn't happen. I wouldn't have to be in the stress position I was in for that period of time. But no, absolutely not. Don't listen to other people that tell you it can't be done, because quite frankly, they don't have your personality. They don't have your background. They don't have your sense of tenacity that is only being restricted by them. And we all know who them are. There was a little study that came out one time that said that when a person is born to the time a person is 18, they are told 250,000 times no. No wonder they give up. Imagine if that was replaced by yes. And it can be. When we put it in our minds, I am not going to listen to anybody that says I can't do it. I'm going to listen to myself that says yes. Not only can I do it, it will be done, and I'm visualizing the success.
I got a great story of persistence. You know, I started a business when I was 12 years old with a $20 snow shovel. By the time I was 18, I built it up to having 300 full-time contractors in Alberta. I was awarded the Alberta SuperNet contract. I was one of the prime contractors, did most of the road construction. I sold that company off and I started a business, and we raised about $10 million in about 3 months. It was absolutely amazing. And I ended up having a CFO that I befriended and I thought was a good friend of mine. And he talked me into buying a business, and I of course agreed because I trusted him and trusted the people around him. It was one of the worst business decisions of my life. It almost destroyed my career and destroyed and took most of my life savings. You know, if I wasn't persistent, I wouldn't have been the world's youngest CEO of a publicly traded company, and I wouldn't have also completed 5 other M&A transactions that has resulted in more money than I've ever made in my life. So the power of persistence is really amazing, and if you don't have persistence, again, you won't be successful.
The persistence, because lots of times you're going to hit a stumbling block. Lots of times there's going to be little roadblocks, there's going to be a little wall, you're going to hit a bump in the road, and we get frustrated, and you're going to get rejection. When you want to go there, sometimes people are going to say no, and you have to get past that no to keep moving forward. You have to know in your heart that this is something that you truly want, and if it is, then those no's aren't going to bother you. You're just going to keep moving forward.
Persistence is essential in success. It's paramount. It's one of the only things that you have is your ability to be persistent. When you don't have any money, you have your persistence. When you don't have a car, anything that you can imagine that you don't have, your persistence is still there. And it enables and empowers you to go get what you want if you're tactful. You know, it's like it can keep going. You know, keep persistence without tact is you're done. You know, so you have to learn. You have to have mentors. You have to have role models and people that you've looked up to and studied with that can show you procedure, process.
I think that. In a very real sense, one has to be full in order to give away. That's where people generally that are involved in true philanthropy have been successful in a certain sense to be able to give that out, and at the same time, and maybe that's as a measure, I don't know, measure of success, but at the same time, the act of philanthropy can lend itself towards success in a reverse fashion. So there's possibly true and apparent philanthropy, I look at it. The true philanthropist is giving for the giving's sake and because he's overwhelmingly full and is able to give that out, both in a spiritual and financial way. Whereas apparent philanthropy can be self-serving. It can act to create a mask that could enhance one's business, that sort of thing. And I think those efforts tend to be self-contained, fairly limited, and have a short lifespan.
What I want to say about contribution and philanthropy is that it begins with you. You want to be generous to yourself first, because when you have something, then you can give it. And it's not just with money, it's with time, it's with attention, it's caring, it's love. You know, you gotta give yourself first. And what's also important is that we don't want to get to the kind of mentality that, well, if I give 20% or 10% of my earnings, I'm going to get a lot more back because that's what the experts say. You know, it's got to come from your heart. It's got to be something that comes natural to you, something that you don't feel you're doing because, oh well, that's the ingredient to success, but you do it because you really want to do it. And then definitely it comes back 100-fold to you back.
At one time, Bill and Melinda Gates, of course, were the ultimate power couple, and everyone thought that, you know, Melinda was just at home with her feet on the couch, you know, eating bonbons and, you know, looking at her next 50-carat diamond ring. But she was actually in the trenches with Bill day to day at Microsoft. And one day she had just a shift in her heart. She went to church with her mom, and she just felt like, you know, that verse or the saying that everybody really talks about, too much is given, much is required, really resonated with her. She came home and talked to Bill and said, Bill, you know what, I really think we should start giving some money away. And Bill's like, nah. He said, I'm really enjoying it right now, maybe in a couple years. So at that time with Microsoft, Bill was getting sued by everybody. Now, they're still getting sued by everybody, but they had some big major lawsuits coming against him, and he had his, you know, hands full with lawsuits and doing all this stuff, so he really wasn't in a giving mood. But what's so interesting is that as Bill started the foundation and started his giving, the lawsuits suddenly started dropping. And so as the giving got bigger, it was in direct correlation with the lower lawsuits. And so Bill discovered, hey, you know, there is something to this philanthropy thing. And as far as the importance of it, again, it's really about, again, we all understand that the concept of wanting more is fantastic, but more for what? And so I'm a big proponent of, hey, your glass is full so you can pour it out on other people, and then you can fill it up again and keep pouring it out. So truly, you don't really understand this until you actually do it. So when you really just start giving to give, you get addicted to it, and it gets exciting, and you start wanting to do more. So until you actually do it, it's just theory. So if you're watching this DVD and you're going, well, yeah, I'm gonna give when I have it, you know, there's a whole nother talk right there. But again, I encourage you, if you don't have the money, you can give with some of your time in the beginning and work your way up. But again, true philanthropy is exciting, and it gets addicting, and it's, you know, you just look at, again, it's interesting that all the big billionaires are now giving all this money away, and it's like, well, gee, imagine if you incorporated those principles in your life, what would happen?
I'm a huge believer in giving back. So, for example, no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm running a corporation, whether I'm investing from my holding company, I've invested in real estate, lease outs, etc., or whether I'm with my kids at the school, you know, from the day up. I'm a huge believer in giving back. So as a parent, I would volunteer. As a youth, I would volunteer. I coached junior baseball teams when no parents could make time, and I wasn't a parent yet. I do things. I believe in community contribution, but I believe in global contribution as well. So, and I'm not just talking on the terms of monetary, but as soon as I became a multimillionaire, my first mandate was to give back in terms of money. And I donated millions. I donated to my spiritual centers, places that helped me stay spiritually strong with regard to keeping my faith when I wanted to give up. I donated back there. I believed as well in giving back to my university where my father graduated from, because I didn't feel I had the money to go to university, so I didn't. I took night courses and different, you know, colleges and stuff that I could get in on, you know, sort of the underlining where area zones that weren't like the big bucks things. And I did that, but then I wanted to help other youth. So it's hugely important. My husband died from a disease. The disease was called cystic fibrosis. He had a heart double lung transplant. I went through a lot through transplantation, through health, critical health issues, etc., etc. And so it was a main mandate for me to give back into other people as a caregiver and as a person who was a huge supporter of others who are going through health crisis. So I donated $1 million to cystic fibrosis research. So I have donated and donated, but I also rolled my shirt sleeves up in soup kitchens. I go there with my children, and I serve people who are on the streets or homeless or having problems in that regard. And I would go back and drive to people who couldn't have Christmas or couldn't have a holiday because there was nothing there. So I went to social services and I asked them if there were such people. The children and I make meals. We don't just put money in drop boxes. We went to their houses. We brought them Christmas trees, gifts, sit under the tree with them, serve them their dinner, do the dishes after, leave the dishes for them, and leave and thank them. Thank those families. Thank those individuals in the soup kitchens. Thank those people who are dedicating their time to find cures for diseases on this planet, who are working in institutions in the universities as professors, putting together grants in place for students who couldn't afford to go to university. I donated a lot of money there. I rolled up my shirt sleeves. I helped them online doing things, because as I said, it's easy for me to hit home with this over and over again. My simple philosophy in this life is real simple, because I'm just a simple girl at the end of the day. I'm just a little prairie girl who came out of nowhere. My grandparents were farmers. You know, I came off the farm to the big city later. I would look at city girls and I would think, oh my God, those girls are really something. I can never be. But I look at it now and you know what, we're all so the same. We're so the same. So how important is giving back? I receive from everything. I'm receiving right now. I am envisioning all of you watching this movie. And I'm feeling you, and I'm sending you love. With all I got, I'm hugging you with my heart, truly. Right now, I'm truly hugging you with my heart. I'm seeing you be so successful. Because if you're successful, the world is a better place.
A lot of times people ask me about influence of others in our lives and how that affects what we want to achieve for success. And I think it's an amazing formula that when you surround yourself with positive, motivated, successful people, being positive and being motivated and being successful just attracts to you as a result, because you're surrounding yourself in that same environment. It's easier. It multiplies so much easier that way.
The people I spend time around and the people I invest time around have a huge impact in what I do and how I achieve my goals in life. It's one of those things, and all the people that would even listen and watch this program know the people that help them become more successful and those that drain their success. It is crucial who you spend time with, but I don't think you should base your entire life and investment of time based on who's going to help you achieve something else. You know, if you truly believe in the law of attraction and you truly believe that what you give, you get, then you have to look at the type of people you spend time with. Can you help them more than they can help you? Again, creating that vacuum, pushing out to those people that you can help, will create that vacuum that comes back to you, in my opinion and my belief, and I've seen it so many times, tenfold.
People that you spend time with have a huge impact on your success. I remember hearing that, you know, if you want to be an eagle, you have to hang out with eagles. You know, even if you're just a little eaglet, you know, you have to stretch to get up, to get higher, to get closer to them. And so I definitely believe that peer group has everything to do with it, and that they be like-minded, and that maybe they be ahead of you so that you can strive to get to that place. I know that I look to see what my heroes and my mentors and even my competition is doing. What's better? What's greater? How else can I add value?
There's been many role models, but I'll tell you the person who changed my life forever most impactfully was a man named Ron LeGrand. Some of you may know him. He's a real estate guru. He goes out and sells books and tapes and seminars on how to buy and sell real estate and to make money and create the life and lifestyle of your dreams. And he did that for me. I met him, like I said, I was a bartender for 17 years, and I literally was wearing my cummerbund and bow tie when I went into a seminar room where he was teaching, and he said he can teach me how to make money buying real estate. And I took all his books and tapes and courses, and I went and learned and studied. He was my first one, and my second mentor would probably be Marshall Silver. Marshall Silver is a hypnotist. He's the first hypnotist who trained me, and he really showed me how to master my inner game, to like really bring my game to a new level. So those two I definitely have to say are one of my top level higher mentors that changed my life in an amazing way. And quite frankly, I'm here because I want to help change your life. I want to be one of your mentors.
My dad still amazes me to this day. My dad, at the time, he had only a high school education. He was working in a box factory for 16 hours a day, and he realized that education was a key to compensation. And he knew that because of his limited education, it also limited his opportunities. And he went back to school. And in the process of that, the 16 hours a day and going back to school, it was really tough. I remember that he couldn't do a lot of the things that he wanted to do for us. And I remember this one time in particular, there was a scenario where people at his job, they would always give him hand-me-downs, because my family, there were three of us, three boys. And while you're working in school full time, and you just don't have a lot of time to do a bunch of anything, he didn't have a lot. So the friends at his job, when their kids would outgrow the clothing, they would give it to my father in hopes that it might could fit us. And I remember this one time my dad brought this pair of Buster Brown shoes home. And in my neighborhood, Buster Brown was not something that the average person wanted to wear. They even made a song about it, talking about how they made your feet look fine. They only cost $1.99. So nobody wanted to wear these pair of Buster Browns. My dad's brought these to me, and see, at the time my shoes had holes in it, and I had to put cardboard in the bottom of my shoes to keep my feet from scraping the bottom so that the cold snow in DC wouldn't frostbite my feet. It was very tough. So when my dad brought the shoes home, I knew that I had to somehow put it on my feet. And I remember that when I put the shoes on, they were too small, and each toe was on top of the other toe. And I was telling my dad, I said, "Dad, I can't put these shoes on." He said, "Boy, put them on." And I knew what that meant, that if I didn't do it, he was going to make my feet fit those shoes. So I figured I better get them on. And when I did that, he was in the next room filling up a tub filled with cool water. And as soon as I put the shoes on, he told me to go into the tub. And I said, "But Dad, there's water there and I've got shoes and pants on." And he said, "Son, just get in the tub." I got in the tub. He said, "Now walk around." And I started walking around that tub for about 30 or 45 minutes. And something miraculous happened. shoes that were too small. Somehow when that water hit that leather, it expanded that leather, and shoes that were too small, they could now fit my feet. And it was then that I learned that my father was a miracle worker. So when I'm asked who's my biggest mentor, I would probably say my father probably plays a very big role, because I saw my dad work out miracles every day. Now the cool thing about that is, genetically, science tells you that whatever's in your father is often in you. And I figured that if there was miracle working power in my dad, then there had to be miracle working power in me. And so I attached it on a small scale. And today I've used that metaphor to help me to accomplish many things in life, to go from good to great.
In a teamwork environment, what we strive for in our world is to create a synergistic energy where everybody's moving forward at the same pace. We all have our different duties, our different jobs, but when we bring it together and we all kind of meld together in that, it produces results that are just incredible and magnified 10 times because of that synergy that goes into it to begin with.
When I was coming up, the kid that didn't really have any experience in the personal development field, a guy that didn't really have many contacts, I spent a lot of time networking. And my goal was to collect 16 new business cards every single day. And I would go out there, and in the beginning, although I would collect business cards, because there was no relationship, because I didn't really focus on other people's needs, and I think that's a key word, needs. Problems, that's another key word. Needs and problems are the key words to make synergy and teamwork actually work. I would focus on mostly what I needed, and so I collected all these business cards, but there was never any real transformation beyond that. There was no actual business that was actually done. And so I have stacks and stacks and crates of business cards, and I keep them to this day, and even in this paperless society, I keep them as a reminder to focus on relationships and look at problems. See, people will remember you for two things: the problems you solve or the ones you create. And I focus on solving problems so that way people remember me. So if you want to create synergy and teamwork, I believe you want to get involved with the other people's goals and dreams just as if it were your own. And make sure that you build yourself up so that you can actually serve the people. It's a very difficult thing to be in a situation where two people are meeting and they're exchanging ideas, but the two people can't really help each other because they're not qualified to help each other.
A good friend once told me that there's no such thing as a self-made millionaire. And I had to ponder that for a moment, and then I realized what she meant by that. And now I fully understand that you need to enlist the help of other people. You need to enlist the cooperation of other people for you to be truly successful. All by yourself really doesn't exist. Here's the difference though, and I'm a big proponent of influence. But let me tell you the other side of the coin of influence. If I can get you to do something for me, but it's good for me and not good for you, that's called manipulation. So if I get you to do something, then you lose and I win, that's manipulation. And here's something that you need to understand, that the tools and skills I use to influence people are the exact same tools and skills you use to manipulate. It's the intention of me that makes the difference. So if I'm going to enlist a team to help me, it has to be 100% influence. And I've seen people like this, and you know people like this, who get people to help them, and the people that help them resent or regret that help. If you are not taking people with you in your journey to success, then it's not truly success.
The role of coaching in success, well, think about it. Think about all the best sports teams that there are. Think about some of the greatest singers that there have ever been. Think about some of the most phenomenal actors and actresses that you know. I mean, do you think Robert De Niro did it alone? Do you think that Shaquille O'Neal does it alone? Coaching is vital. If we need coaches for our bodies and for our voices and for our performing, why would we not need a coach for our mental attitude? I mean, that's really what most of them are getting coached around anyway. We think it's about how many reps they're doing running up and down the court or how many times they're getting it in the basket. A lot of time coaching is about the mental game that these guys are playing in life, because success is a mental game. It's a hugely mental game. We can talk ourselves into and out of absolutely everything. And when we believe the thoughts in our mind, we limit ourselves because our thoughts are only as good as the last one that you had. They're all in the past. There's nothing future or new about the thoughts that come into our minds. When you invite a coach into your world, you invite somebody to come in and see yourself from an objective standpoint so that you can start to hear what it is you're really saying, hear where you're stopping yourself, hear where you're starting yourself, get really in touch with what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and also they might even have some great ideas as to how you can move forwards, because hopefully you attract somebody who has attained the level of success that you want to attain. Coaching is vital, and what's even more vital is that you choose a coach that is going to be able to help you get to where you want to go. Not somebody who hasn't done what it is that you want to do, or hasn't created what it is that you want to create. You want to make $1 million? Find a coach that's made 2 to 5. That's the way that coaching works. You can't do it on your own.
This is what I believe. I believe that for everything that we do, either personally or professionally, having a coach makes a whole difference. For me, it was a matter of I didn't want to waste time. I wanted to do it all and do it fast. I wanted to achieve my goals without wasting 1 second. And I understood from since the beginning that if I did that myself, I will take more time, I will maybe invest much more money to get where I want to go. So I hire a coach that has been there before me, that has been in that path, that has been working in what I wanted to do. So this person basically led me on the path and saved me years of knowledge, saved me thousands of dollars or tons of money in trial and error, and basically at the end of the day it makes my life so much easier. So yes, I had many coaches since I was 22, and again I use them depending on where I am in the moment and what I need in the moment. Sometimes it's a personal coach, sometimes it's a professional coach, sometimes it's within a specific task, something very specific. So I do believe that coaching is a very essential part of my success.
Part of coaching is a very valuable tool. Very often we know things, like we would say, or if you were me, and I think I can speak for other people on this one, you would say, damn, I knew that. I knew that. I should have. So I quit shoulding all over myself like a long time ago. There's no should have. So what is the power of coaching? I coach a lot of people. I love it. I do it individually, and I do it from my website, and I call it my secrets. And that's what's really important to me, because see, coaches have things they know, and we have things we know, but they're dark, buried secrets, and we need someone to help us call it, take out the shovel and dig them out, because we already know this stuff, but we don't want to go through our life beating ourselves up. We want to go through our life building ourselves up. So that's what a coach does. A coach goes, hey, give me that shovel for a while. You've been digging for a while, but you're digging in the wrong place. We're going to take the rod. We're going to find the buried treasure inside you. And we're going to help you get that out in the easiest way possible, not waste your life digging in places where it's not buried. And so we're going to let it surface, and we're going to take it forward. And coaches know the tools. They know the tools. Maybe you didn't need to use that spade or that shovel. Maybe what you really needed was a searching device to find out where it was. And maybe it was so close to the surface, all you had to do is take one finger and go like this and just dust it off, and your gifts would all come flooding out. And that's what we have to do. We have to take our gifts. And so coaches, and I work with coaching firms all over, and as I say, I do it individually. So on my website, I just did it as LuAnnMitchellSecrets.biz. So LuAnnMitchellSecrets.com or LuAnnMitchellSecrets.biz, because they're secrets. There are little secrets. But sometimes we need to share our secrets. And those secrets are what I like to call our gifts. So I'm very, very excited to tell you that, coaching's imperative.
Some influential coaches in my life would have been my father, perhaps the professors I've had in surgical training. And I think that their influence on me was that an underlying value of character integrity, development, and and believing and understanding that the world exists in either a field of abundance or a field of paucity. And whichever you wish to live in is what it will be for you. So the lessons I got or coaching was that it was abundance, and that certainly has proved itself to be true.
Well, in my case, I have to say I didn't have a coach per se with that title, but I do find that life itself, it is coach. And if you have a natural desire to, or a natural setting within your system to be observant of human behavior and the natural ways that people go about life, then you are always being coached about something in certain directions. But I think if it was possible, I think it'd be a tremendous lesson for most people to have a good coach behind them, especially in some developmental areas of life.
I think people resist change because they're scared. They're scared of the unknown, first of all. Second of all, they're also scared, if we go back to the human instinct, and I talked to you about this a lot, Justin. If we go back to the human instinct, and we have everybody in this room today sitting around the table, and the world has no food, and there's one piece of food on that table. I don't care who's in this room, I don't care who's watching this show, you're going to fight for that food, and that's human instinct. So I think human instinct is they're afraid of change because they're afraid of starving, they're afraid of the unknown, they're afraid of not accomplishing what they want to accomplish. So to answer your question a little bit better, is the reason why people are afraid of change is simply because of the unknown.
People become very comfortable where they are, and they become very comfortable coming home, kicking off their shoes and watching television all night, getting up the next day and going to work. They don't change because they're afraid of what's out there and they're afraid to be successful. I think that if you want to change, you need to do something different. Each day do a little bit different and do a little bit more, and pretty soon you'll be where you want to be.
Change is scary for a lot of people, so they tend to shy away from it. I can understand that. It's an unknown. It's a place where we don't know what's going to happen. It's a lot easier sometimes to stay where you're safe. I was married once upon a very long time ago, and it was not a terrible marriage, but it wasn't a good marriage either. And part of it was because I didn't really know what was important to me at the time. And so I stayed in it because I thought I was supposed to. And when it ended, it was like a load of bricks off my shoulders. And if I was still in that relationship, I wouldn't be where I am now. I would be miserable, I would be a completely different person, always wishing that he would make my life better somehow, as many women do when they're in a relationship. And the change was hard, but it was way more beneficial than not changing. And I think most people know that on an intellectual level, but they're not necessarily willing to reach out and experience it because it is scary and it is different and they don't know what's on the other side.
When the odds are against you, I like to do what I call dig deep. And I always bring up my identity. Many years ago, I got to participate in the leadership program at Life Mastery University with Tony Robbins. And one of the things that we did there was everybody got a nickname that expressed who they were. And with Ann McIndoe, my nickname was Ann Can-Do McIndoe. And so that Can-Do McIndoe has just stuck with me all these years. And so when I come against a challenge or I come up with something that, I'm not quite sure how to deal with, I just dig deep. I go, hey, I am Can-Do McIndoe. I can get this done. So I think that goes back to incantations or affirmation of who you are, of really taking on that identity of who you are. And I have the identity of Can-Do McIndoe. So when something comes up, I do it. There's no doubt. There's no wavering there because I know who I am and I know I can do this. And I'd like to recommend that to others. To really, who are you? And what is it that you really want? Because if it's something that you want, nothing's going to stop you.
feel the odds are against you, you just gotta keep moving forward. And understanding, looking back, everyone has had success in their lives. You know, you learn how to ride a bike, you learn how to walk, so you've been successful in some areas of your life. And, you know, I always look at the positive. I always know that these challenges are there to teach you something. They're there to help you grow and move through, and they help you to become a better person. I have learned to be extremely grateful for the biggest challenges that I've had in my life. And I can tell you that if it wasn't for hearing those words that your son is going to die today, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I'm very grateful for the challenges that I've had in my life. And so because of that gratitude and because of the experience I've had in being able to move through those challenges, I don't look at challenges now as a negative thing. I actually appreciate them when they come along, because I know that they're only going to help me get to that next level. They're going to help me to become a better person. So I don't see adversity or challenges as something difficult to go through. It's just part of the process, and it's something we need to learn to be grateful for, because they develop us as human beings and make us have the power to be able to give back in a bigger way.
What most people do when they feel the odds are against them is they become defensive. They feel like they're back in the corner and they feel like the whole world's against them. What I do believe this, and when people believe that the odds are against them, they're projecting out. And there's a saying that I embrace, and that which you hate in other people, you are yourself. Sometimes we feel the odds are against us. They're things that we bring on ourselves. You and I, we are totally responsible for our own success. The minute you embrace that, and the minute you release other people being responsible for your success, I think you will see the avenue for true success. So when the odds are against you, look internally and see what roadblocks have you put up yourself to create the odds being stacked against you.
As far as what I do daily or what I do today to increase success or maintain success, I think the key word is there, what do you do daily? And John Maxwell has a great book where he talks about, hey, the secret of success is all in your daily routines. And John Maxwell is one of these great leadership gurus, and he says, I can spend a day with you and I can tell you exactly if you're going to be successful or not just from your daily routines. And so many people have this, well, I'm going to do that tomorrow, or I only do that every other time, or whatever. So for me, again, everything is about a lifestyle. It's not like, oh, I have to do this. For example, my fitness regimen and my eating habits are not about, oh, I'm on this strict diet, or oh, I'm doing this or doing this. It's a lifestyle. And I think so many people say, oh, I want to go out and chase success. And you can't chase success because you'll never catch it, but you can attract success to you. And you do that, again, by your daily routines. And that starts with, okay, how am I thinking? Okay, what am I thinking about? What am I reading? What am I taking action on? It's such a process, but it's all found in the daily secrets. And a perfect example, my newest book called The One Day Diet. I see people all the time saying, oh, I'm on this 4-week diet, I gotta survive. It's like, no, you're not. You have a choice of today, am I gonna eat the Krispy Kreme, or am I gonna eat the banana? Okay, or am I gonna get the latte with the triple fruit, or am I gonna eat the apple? Okay? And it all comes down to that. I see people say this so many times. You can hear it if you watch people. They'll go grab a dessert and go, oh, wow, I really shouldn't be eating this. They already know what to do to be successful. They're just not taking action on doing it.
I didn't realize this until quite recently, but I live very intuitively by the 80-20 rule. And which means that out of 100 things that I have to do, I throw out about 80 of them and I focus on 20. And I've just got really good at knowing the things that need my attention. I know which emails to respond to, and I know which ones not to, and I know which opportunities to take a step towards, and I know which ones not to. And the reason I know, this is the secret, are you ready for the secret? Because this is a big one. The reason I know what that 20 are is because I've learned to trust my intuition. So I'm deeply intuitive, not only in my relationships and in my work with people, but I'm deeply intuitive in how I manage my time. So I can sense the things that make sense to pursue and the things that don't. And I've been doing it so much, I don't even think about it anymore. I just completely trust it and follow that. And it works.
One of the key things is I follow my master plan. I'm a highly visual learner, so I follow my master plan in terms of creating my big vision and my goals and my dreams. Another thing is my environment of who I hang out with most on a consistent basis, the men and women that I spend the most amount of time in my inner circle, because proximity is power. Another thing is I share my goals, my dreams with other people who I respect and admire because they hold me accountable so that I'm consistent with knowing what my targets are and moving forward in a consistent manner. That's very important. Another thing what I do is in my journal is I'll write down what we call the 10-10 principle. Before I go to bed tonight, I write down my top 10 highest priority activities in my personal professional life. Now I'll either do it myself or I can delegate them, or if you have a virtual assistant or an executive assistant, if you have one, you can delegate to him or her. And before you wake up tomorrow morning, you do the top 10 highest priority activities before 10 a.m. Now, have you ever wondered, you see men and women, they're at a Starbucks coffee shop or a golf course, you're thinking, gosh, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and how are they home from the office early? How are they spending time with their children? Because for a lot of high-level thinking men and women, they do the 10-10 principle. Do 10 things tonight before you go to bed, and then do them before you get up, before 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.
I believe that there is no recession when the world is your marketplace. And now with the internet, we can really reach anywhere in the world. The markets has changed totally. Even though we have a product that or a career that we develop locally, maybe if we live in cities, for example, Miami, 60% of the people that live in Miami are international. So even though your product or your company is not interested to go out there, to go into another country, is working already within an international culture. So being international right now for most of the business, I should say maybe 80–90% of the business, is really, really, really important. And now with the internet, is more than ever because we have access to everywhere in the world.
What really made a major difference for me in my success is when I finally made a decision to not let anyone make me feel guilty, including myself, because guilt used to be a big part of my life, and it was very easy for me to feel guilty about lots of things that had nothing to do with me. If somebody was upset, I felt it was my fault. If it was raining, sometimes I felt it was my fault. And feeling guilty is a very destructive emotion, and it really brings our self-esteem down. And our levels of self-esteem are directly related to the level of success we achieve in any parts or areas of our life. So not letting anyone from now on making you feel guilty, including yourself, paying attention to how you speak to yourself, being kind and loving to yourself, and really concentrate on building that sense of self-worth, the confidence, the self-esteem will create wonders for you, and you will become successful.
You know, just stick to it. Don't let people get you down. You hear this all the time. Don't let people get you down. Your idea, if it's good enough to incite some good energy in you, it's good. It's coming from goodness. So run with that. Don't be afraid.
The most important golden nugget I can offer you is to love yourself right where you are. So many times we spend our times focused on our destination. Who do we want to be and where do we want to be? But really where you are determines where you're gonna be. So if you can honor yourself right where you are and love who you are in this moment, I believe that that is what shapes your next step. Actually, many of us spend our time either in the future or in the past, but it is the moment that we have right now that becomes our past. And so I would say to love yourself where you are, whether you believe you've succeeded or not, that right where you are makes a difference. And it's the choices that you make in this now moment that will determine that next success that you have in your life.
Now many of you are probably saying, I'd really like to produce success, but everyone tells me there's no way I can possibly do it. I invite you to consider that when an 18-year-old writes a book, how many people, including his own immediate relatives, told him there's no way he could possibly do it? Because that was me at the age of 18, writing my first book, and when people told me there's no way you could possibly do it, I said, look, not only am I going to publish this book, but it's going to be a bestseller in the first week of its launch. And so what happened was we published Your Mailbox is Full, and upon publishing the book, it became a bestseller within 48 hours. Then I wrote my second book, was an anthology. More people told me, there's no way you'll write an anthology. You think you can get people together? Who are you to get a whole bunch of people together in a book? People told me I was nuts for putting together The Power of Persistence. They said people would have done it already. And by the time I did it, it became a bestseller within 24 hours of its launch. Now my new book is called The Power of Philanthropy. It's launching in just a couple days here. And when it launches, we're going to have some of the highest experts. I'm partnering with some of the best nonprofits in the world in order to release this book at the highest level possible, and it'll become a bestseller again within 24 hours of its launch. Because we've set it up for success, because we knew that when people told us no, it meant we were on to something. I always invite you to consider that when people tell you can't do something, it just means it's that good, it's that juicy. It means that you've got something nobody else has. So I always challenge, when someone tells you no, don't listen to them. Set yourself up for success.